right, welcome everybody. This is, once again, we are back. I gotta say, this show used to be called Devil's Advocate, and then I realized that was very limiting. So now it's called The Court of Public Opinion. But I will still be playing the Devil's Advocate in the court. So what that does is it makes you guys the jurors. And I guess I'm the defending side, defense.
You're the plaintiff?
I'm not the plaintiff. The plaintiff is whatever the issue is. Sure. I'm the defense.
Okay.
And you're the prosecution.
I am the prosecution.
Or maybe sometimes you'll be the defense and I'll be the prosecution. Regardless of what the side is, yes. I will always be on the side of the devil, playing the devil's advocate. So, today we have an issue. It was going to be a different issue, but then something recently just literally happened before we started recording, and I think that's more important. So I'm going to change my topic now. My new topic for today is Black Republicans and why Trump is the answer that we need.
Wait, Trump is the answer that we need for Black Republicans?
Just Black people who want to be black Republicans, and then...
Or why Trump is their ideal candidate?
Right. Or just overall, just Black Republicans. That's the issue. I am here to defend Black people who want to be Republicans.
Wow.
And I'm talking about conservative.
The ones who decide that they are going to ride with Team America.
Yes.
Kaepernick is disrespecting the flag.
Yes.
Those...
the dissenters, the Candace Owens.
The Candace Owens,
if you will. Now remember, guys, I am playing the devil's advocate. Just not express my views. Sometimes you gotta take cases and support the views that you don't believe, but that's how you have a debate. So I don't know if you want to have your opening statements first, or if you want to let me have my opening statements. If you want to think on it a little bit more.
No, I would love to hear the Black Republican perspective.
So the Black Republican perspective is this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's not forget that the Democratic Party started off as not the Black Party. The Republican Party, if you go back in history, it was actually the party that was in more support of blackness. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. He was the one that did the Emancipation Proclamation with help free the slaves. So even back in the day, the Republican Party was the party about blackness. And on top of that, Republicans are about conserving the values that we in the Black community have. Black people are very passionate about church, about religion, about their stances against homosexuality are very rigid and are very apparent. So we feel like the Republican ideals, or my client, I should say, that the Republican ideal better align with the visions for Black people, and they are in line with the visions for the Republican Party. So that is the opening statement, I would say.
Okay, you're going to take it back and pull the history card. That's fair.
History card.
I feel like Black Republicans, Black conservatives, and conservatives in general who like to tout this idea, or not even idea, the fact that certainly Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, they're very selective in their in the history they choose to put forth to support their arguments, because if we continue to follow that same line of history, we recognize that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, or the Southern Democrats, the Dixiecrats as they were called, they actually, their ideals flipped essentially, because there was basically a compromise done for the sake of a presidential election. I'm forgetting the year of it precisely right now. But essentially what that meant was that the Republicans that we attach such storied history to,
yes.
Those values have consistently and thoroughly shifted and aren't the ones of today by any means. And I think getting attached to the label allows you to lose what they actually stand for. So further on, what I mean is if you look at Roosevelt, FDR, and the New Deal programs, he had to fight to put those forward, but the roots of the Democratic Party being one about helping people with a social safety net and allowing for programs that will help the least of us, the most poor, the most affected by social ills, then kind of very much became a Democratic ideal. Now, beyond that part, the thing that's always funny to me as well about religion and Republicans is that if we are a Christian nation,
Yes,
as they
Christian nation.
swear that we are,
Yes.
with Christian values,
Values of the highest.
who is the most praised Christian of all? The most highly espoused is, of course, the
Currently?
Son of God.
I'd say Trump, but
Oh,
did you not see my man's with the Bible in front of the church right after?
he did have he had the nerve. And now, this is actually a good point. I'm glad you brought this up because he did stand up there with a Bible. I'm surprised it didn't catch fire in his hands.
For all we know, that was the Bible. All right.
Just a very thick-looking black book.
But look, that shows true leadership.
So
In the face of tyranny, my man's went out there and showed people that America will not be bullied. Okay? That
we will
the values
we will
hold,
do the bullying.
Yes.
We will emphatically
we
be
will
the
push
bullies.
and not be pushed.
And what I was going on was Jesus, of course.
that's
Yahshua
right.
ben Yosef himself, if you will.
I forgot.
Yeah, forgot about Jesus. He's the Christian that is so often turned to when it comes to evangelicals and Republicans espousing the highest form of respect for. Yet the principles that he lived by and sought to teach are about embracing others and love and charity and really extending yourself for the sake of your fellow human beings. And it is entirely antithetical to what they actually walk out in practice, which tends to be about consolidating power, limiting access to resources for people who aren't, who don't look like them, principally white. And so it runs entirely in contradiction to this idea that we are all about loving one's neighbor and turning the other cheek, yet walking out an entirely different set of actions.
Whoa, that's not necessarily true. It does in the Bible say that man shall not lay with man, which is clear proof that homosexuality is wrong. And a lot of the conservatives, they're not about making judgments. Hey man, if you want to love a man,
They're not about making judgments?
No, they're not.
They're not about making judgments.
They're not about it. If you want to love another man,
What are they about?
if you're a man, you want to love a man. If you're a woman, you want to. That is your business. We don't ask, you don't tell. Just do that over there. Keep that away from our kids. Keep that away from our schools. Don't indoctrinate our youth with your ideals. Okay? We made a separation of church and state, so make a separation of your state
Logic
and our
and
church. All right?
governance.
Yeah.
We need to separate logic and governance entirely. There's too much thought put into how we should
If they were the
solve
same
these
thing, they
complex
would have
problems.
two different names. All right, that's all we're saying. All right. Now, you were pulling out a lot of facts and about a lot of like historical things, which, look, this is the court of public opinion, meaning that we're not always gonna fact check this. We don't have somebody over there to fact check on
Sure,
this.
sure,
I
sure.
am going off of thoughts and feelings.
That's all we're
That
gonna.
is what it
I
is.
shoot from the gut.
Maybe there'll be some facts in there.
It's a Republican
accidentally.
ideal as
If
well.
not, I'll probably while I'm editing this, will put a lot of like fact notes and stuff like that, so that
Yeah,
there
because
is-
look, I'll even say my timeline was a bit sketchy there with the facts,
Yeah.
but what I'm telling you is absolutely true in the sense that
Sure.
historically speaking, if the thing I don't like about it, I'll just say this, I hate the fact even in the Bible they would selectively cherry pick certain passages that are then used to prop up certain positions as if those are enshrined in some holy divinity, while completely ignoring other passages that are absolutely more important, in my opinion.
Look, the Bible is open to interpretation, guys.
Oh,
Our
wait a
interpretation,
second.
for sure.
Whose interpretation?
Ours.
Who's
Whoever's
the-
holding the Bible.
whoever's holding
in
the
that
Bible.
case, it was our
Trump.
boy Trump. So
Okay,
it's up
right,
to his
so we gotta-
interpretation.
So grab a Bible so I can make up my own version of it.
But look,
Yeah.
this is not only about religion. I don't think.
Certainly not.
I think that could be. You could argue that's pandering. But what we can't ignore is the fact that the Republican Party is there to motivate black people. The Republican Party believes that
to destroy it?
No, not to destroy it.
Oh.
It believes that, hey man, this is America.
This is America.
You can get there too. If you work hard and you're smart and you're lucky like all of us, which by being here you're lucky. If all these things align, then you have the exact same potential that everybody else has. by keeping black people on food stamps, by keeping people on all these programs, what you're doing is you're enabling their laziness. Okay? Did you not see your boy ODB, who is a successful rapper, by the way, when he was alive, going to get food stamps? Taking advantage of a system that is built to temporarily help those in need. It's
interesting. I always
social
find it
welfare is
so-
about temporary until you can get back. Everybody falls on hard times. The Republican Party is not saying that there aren't hard times. All right, there are hard times. We get it, but it's not supposed to be an everlasting thing. It's supposed to come in, take what you need, and then keep it moving.
I love that you brought up this word welfare.
Welfare.
I love that you did because beauty of words is that depending on which one you use in a situation, it creates a whole different distinction in meaning. For example, welfare conjures this image to a lot of folks of, greedy black people coming and taking money from their good and earned taxes. Whereas a word like subsidies, for example, elicits this idea of valiant corporations needing money to, to support the business that they're engaged in, rather than calling it what it is, which is corporate welfare on a much, 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 much larger, more prevalent scale.
Whoa,
And-
you can't compare the two. Okay, when you give welfare to a person, that person doesn't in turn hire another person and give them money. When you give subsidies to a company, they are job creators. They are now taking those subsidies and then creating opportunities for the people probably on welfare from your side of the tracks to come over and build themselves up and have a life and contribute to society. So, they're not one and the same.
They're not one and the same.
Nice try. Did you see that, Your Honor? You see how I tried to pull a fast one?
One is the government giving money.
Yes. Two.
That one is the government actually. One is the government dispersing taxpayer money
Right.
for the sake of
Job creation.
job creation.
Yes. I'm a business. For example, a lot of the businesses that are struggling right now, or if people are watching this in the future, there was a weird time in 2020 when the world is falling apart and people needed bailouts and help. So when the government gives out these subsidies or these loans to small businesses, they can in turn trickle down that money to their employees, so everybody is benefiting from that. When you give welfare to one person or one family, you're only benefiting.
You're only helping that
family.
one family eat. Who cares about that?
But it's fine. Again, no one's against welfare on this side. It's about the dependency on welfare. Welfare is creating dependence. And how do you want us to overcome that if we do not just pull that away from people?
You're right.
Yes.
So you know what? Let's
right.
do away with all of the corporate subsidies then, because this is just another representation of welfare that's allowing these companies to get lazy, because truly, if they were innovative and competitive enough and able to excel in this corporate system that we exist within, they would be able to come up with new and innovative ways to keep their businesses and industries afloat, or the capitalist system that we exist within would swallow them up in the true nature of competition.
Wait, you can't put this back onto fair trade and market on all that. No, because the danger in that is...
But that's, less government. That's a Republican cornerstone. That's an ideal upon which
but if you get rid of small business, if we don't
We're not even talking about small business.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the biggest of business.
Well, that's, again, some businesses are too big to fail. Let's take American Airlines, for example. Air travel is very important. If the airline companies go under, then we have problems with travel. They benefit everyone. So we cannot let these companies fail. Big air travel and big motor companies, we bailed those out because essentially some industries are too big to fail.
Too big to fail.
Because they impact...
And some people are
everybody.
too rich to not be rich. Yeah. Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. I
can make it about
hey,
that.
I've been rich for too long. How could I exist not being rich?
But okay, as a black person, don't you feel that the Democrats have gotten lazy? That
Look,
the Democrats
I'm not
automatically think that they got your vote because you're black? You heard what Joe Biden said.
Crazy old Joe.
Sleepy Joe.
The,
You know what Sleepy
Look,
Joe said? If
the-
you vote for Trump, then you ain't black.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
And I know what he meant, but
Democrats are very much invested in the same problematic system that we are trying to upend and change. And they're very much complicit in the same system that Republicans are. Now, there are shades of difference when it comes to policies and programs that they want to put forth that I think are actually helpful. But when you take a step back and look at things from a macro scale, they often do draw funds from some of the same large corporate pots. Our current president at the moment loudly touted how he had donated money to both Republican and Democratic candidates because he was able to pull the strings of either, depending on what his interests were on a particular issue.
So you're talking about this was before he was a presidential candidate. This is back in his earlier days.
You know, when he had before he began his storied political career that he is now engaged in. Yeah. He's now, when we're up for 3 years in, and we're in literally. We're experiencing how many pandemics? And we have we have a global pandemic that we are the leader in.
Listen, if
we're winning the global pandemic. We are leading.
If anyone is to be blamed for that, it's the deep state. The deep state, which is a leftist group, it's a deep state conspiracy against America, and that's why we have to MAGA all day. All right, we have to MAGA hard. All right, we have to actually RAGA,
which is.
Really
attempt
to greaten America.
Great again.
Really attempt to greaten America. Because the first attempt, we made America great, but now we really have to attempt to greaten it.
By doing the same things we've been doing.
Look, man, you
by
know the old adage.
Consistent as possible.
You do something until it works. That's the old saying. That's how I grew up. You do something and you do it until it works. I know that was. I think Aristotle said that.
Aristotle had words to that effect.
He
had that words to that effect.
Yes.
I just wonder, isn't it lonely?
Lonely what?
Isn't it lonely walking the line of a black conservative
and that's the other thing. I think shaming black Republicans because they want to be black.
Go ahead.
The black community is not very nice to black Republicans. I think, or all communities. The left is very much a bunch of bullies when it comes to that. All right, they're a bunch of liberal, leftist, snowflake bullies. All right, they push us around with their snowflake edges.
A lot of strong language there.
I'm just saying that's so. So as a black Republican, I think that if given the proper chance to really express some of these values and really try to say, hey, I am interested in other. I am an American. I have a choice. I am all about progress. And I think the Conservative Party, while they're trying to conserve their values, are also progressing in their conservatism.
They're progressive in their conservatism? Wow, that's a hat trick. You really are trying to pull that one on.
I am telling you what the thought process
progressively moving their conservatism to be more extremely
we
so.
Are progressing it into your face.
It's
progressing that way.
Yes. Okay.
And the other thing is, people have to be allowed to seek the values that they best align with them. I shouldn't be automatically part of something because my community thinks that's what's right. I shouldn't automatically be affiliated with something because it seems to serve my interests. I'm looking out for the interests of other things sometimes. I'm looking into the future. Right now, maybe what you're saying supports.
Let's speak on that for a second. When we talk about the future, literally the future of, let's say, the planet for one, right? And the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the environment that we get to enjoy, where the Republican Party, in an unprecedented fashion, seems to deny the fact that we are experiencing real-world climate change that is going to drastically affect the ways in which we live. You are rolling your eyes.
Climate change.
At the prospect of
people that said, was it AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's talking about the world's going to be done in 50 years? Really? 50 years in the world is, look, man, I went outside today and it was both hot and cold. being that it was sunny and the wind was being cold. That to me shows that the world is not getting
clear
any
indication.
warmer. It's still
Pretty clear
cool
indication.
outside. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not. Stop it.
So,
You guys need to
yeah.
stop with that global warming thing. I don't think that's a fair point.
You're right.
I think that Black Republicans should be given a chance to really see this thing through. And I think that's where, Your Honor, today,
Which
and
thing through?
people of the jury, this is our closing statement, is that Black Republicans should be given a chance and should be given a safe space to really explore their bipartisan curiosity. Because deep down inside, we'll be Democrats, you know, but we are a little bipartisan curious, all right? We're a little bi-curious. We want to know what the other side's like, and we want to hear them out. Listen, I like putting on a good hunting jacket and going out and shooting wild animals as well as the next guy. And if you can see Candace Owens doing it and being embraced by that community, then I think a lot of Black Republicans are ready to see what the other side has to say and see what ideas they have to follow. All right? We can't deny that this has been the best year up until the coronavirus and all this pandemic. It's been the best year for business. All right?
Until there's been the
Things were going up and good, and then things went down and bad. That's neither here nor there. But first 2 years, magic. So, closing statements, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Allow Black Republicans to at least exist without feeling ashamed for being bipartisan curious or even just being Republican curious.
Hey, look, I don't want anyone to walk around feeling ashamed, yet I think this gets to the heart of something very important and is being actively eroded, especially in the age that we live in, and that is real objective fact and collective understanding of information as it is, separate from anyone's personal opinion or perspective. There are things that just exist in a verifiable space, and there's one group of people who, let's call them Democrats in this situation, who I don't entirely agree with for reasons that I've discussed in others, but at least seem to have a genuine interest in trying to, one, create programs, at least on some level, to help those who are most in need, are interested in, at least on some levels, seek out actual facts and information and truth to support what it is they're trying to put forth and programs that they're trying to create. And then there's this other group of people, this other group of folks, let's call them Republicans, if you will.
That's the first one off the top of your head?
It is, I know. I searched, actually, I ran through it. Honestly, that was the nicest term I came up with, because there were a few that I was going to go with, and I was like, don't hit them, but don't even, just go with Republicans. There was several others. But there's this other group of people who are very much invested in this anti-intellectual, myopic view of the world that is literally denying scientists is what you call anti-intellectual. Intellectuals who speak up and say, hey, here's my informed intellectual opinion. You say, shut the fuck up. We've got our own other intellectuals who disagree with you. But, we paid them to say that. So,
The right has its own intellectual.
Exactly. Who they paid to say what they want. Right.
Is it Deborah or Sandra? Who's that girl that
Sandra,
Trump keeps cutting to? He'd be like, Deborah, isn't that right? Like we've been doing.
Yep,
I'll put a clip in there somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways.
There's other group of folks who are very much entrenched in holding on to power at all costs. And when we say at all costs, it literally could be the cost of all of us. And so when there are folks who look like me and who have, I can only imagine, at least a shred of a similar experience of what it looks like to exist in this skin, in this place, I would hope that they, because of that, would have an understanding of steps that we can take to actually try to make our experience here better.
Okay. That's your closing statement? It's very, very a lot. It wasn't very concise, but there's a lot of good stuff in there you guys can see through. But look, this is round one. Obviously, even listening to your closing statement, I realized that look, this is a much bigger issue.
Sure.
Obviously, we're not gonna have it in one conversation. I don't know how long to make these yet. If people do want to hear us go on more about the topic, I think I did a great job defending.
Look, I'll give it to you. You
Republicans
did sound legitimately.
And this is the thing. This is only the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of other arguments. I haven't really put, like I said, I wasn't prepared for this conversation because it literally came to mind right before we rolled the cameras. So I just took the arguments that I've heard before. But if people want to hear more about this, then in the comments you gotta let us know. You guys are the jury, all right? You guys get to make the final decision. You guys give us the verdict. Who do you think best defended their side? Do you think Hadi defended the Democratic view, or do you think I did a decent, and not even decent, I did a superb job of voicing the Republican sentiments and the oppression they feel under the liberal boot of tyranny?
Not gonna let that go.
That's how you do a closing statement.
Can't
So guys,
do that.
yes, let us know in the comments.
Is that how you?
That's how we're gonna end the show. That this is Court of Public Opinion, where you guys get to decide how we ride. How you like that for a closing statement? I'm playing.
Where did Johnny Cochran that shit? If I leave him with a rhyme, they'll be on my side.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Leave him with a rhyme. It gets them every time.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let us know later.